Bohnanza. Overview. Each player plants beans in 2 or 3 fields and tries to sell them as profitably as possible. When selling beans, a player earns more gold for more beans. The goal of the game is to earn the most gold. The bean cards. There are 11 different bean varieties, each with a different number of copies. How many copies is shown on the illustration. The beanometer is at the bottom. It indicates how much gold a player earns when they harvest and sell beans. The numbers represent how many copies it takes to earn the pictured amount of gold. The bean fields. The area in front of each player is their bean farm. Each player begins the game with 2 bean fields in their farm. Each bean field may only contain one variety, but may plant as many beans as desired. Plant each bean in the field so they overlap each other. Planting. If the card matches a variety in one of his fields, they may plant it there. If it does not match, they may plant it in an empty bean field. Otherwise, create an empty bean field by either buying a 3rd bean field card or harvest and sell a field. Harvesting and selling beans. Players must harvest and sell beans at any time, even when they are not the active player. When a player sells beans from one of his fields, he must sell all beans in that field. To sell the beans, they first count the number of beans in the field. Then, they look at the beanometer to see how many gold coins to keep, placing the remaining cards on the discard pile. When a player sells beans from the bean field, he may choose any bean field with 2 or more beans in it. A player may not sell a single bean until every field has 1 or 0 beans. Buying a 3rd bean field. Once, at any time, a player may buy a 3rd bean field for 3 gold. They may use the 3rd bean field immediately for planting beans. Preparation. Deal 5 cards face down to each player. These are the player's starting hands. The players privately pick up their hands, keeping the cards in the order they were dealt. Players may never change the order of the cards. Use the remaining cards face down as a draw deck. Playing the game. On a player's turn, they do the following. 1. Plant beans from hand. 2. Draw and trade beans. 3. Plant acquired beans. 4. Draw new beans. Step 1. Plant beans from hand. The active player must plant the first card in their hand. Optionally, the active player may plant the next card in their hand. Step 2. Draw and trade beans. The active player draws 2 cards from the draw deck and puts them face up on the table so all the players can see. The active player must either trade them or keep these cards to plant in Step 3. Step 3. Plant acquired beans. All players now plant the cards they received in trades. The active player also plants any cards they kept from Step 2. The order of planting is up to the individual player, but all must be planted. The players may harvest and sell a bean field at any time. Step 4. Draw new bean cards. To end their turn, the active player draws 3 cards from the new deck, maintaining hand order. When the draw deck is exhausted, the drawing player shuffles the discard pile and places it on the table face down as the new draw deck. The player to his left now takes his turn. End. The game ends when the draw deck is exhausted for the 3rd time. If this occurs during Step 2, the game continues until the end of Step 3. At the end of the game, players may not plant any more beans. They set aside the cards in their hands. Then, harvest and sell the beans in their fields. The player with the most gold wins. The tiebreaker is the most cards in hand. Thank you.